Hello, Miss Fareeha Kanwal. So, thank you for joining us today at the College Podcast. And we are very happy that you're here today. And we would like to know a little bit more about yourself before we ask you a few other questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rukaiya, for calling me here and inviting me. Well, I am the English language teacher here at Heuser, and I'm very excited to teach over here. I am basically, by profession, I'm a linguist. I did my master's in applied linguistics, then I did my specialization from Cambridge University. Uh, After that, I've been training teachers. I've been teaching. It's been like more than 10 years that I've been taking English language. And secondly, I'm also an entrepreneur because I recently opened a Montessori. So this is all, and I love teaching.
Thank you so much. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about English language at A levels? What is this 9093 all about?
Yeah, this is something that I am very passionate about because obviously it is something when you talk about A-level English language 9093, you need to get out of that mindset which is that it's not an extension of O-level English. It is a completely different story. So when you opt for A-level English language, it is basically something that develops your analytical skills, your thinking skills, secondly creativity. This is something that's very important, and it actually basically when you opt for English language, you're investing something in your future. So this is all about 9093. And basically the things that we usually study in it is obviously connected to the exponential advancement that are taking place now, and a lot of AI influence that has now been changing English language, and English language has been evolving. So A-level English language is all about modern English. When I say modern English, it's all about how creative one has to be in order to have a better career choice or to do better in other subjects.
That's great. So, I mean, picking up from what you said, are there any common misconceptions about studying English at A level that you would like to clear up with our audience?
Yes, there are certain misconceptions. Firstly, they usually believe that it's very difficult to get a grade in A-level English language. Secondly, they believe that it's just any English language that we are going for, and maybe it's the same comprehension and composition that we've been doing through ages. It's these are the few things that people believe, and when they come into the class, my students usually are surprised, in fact I would say shocked, when they actually see that the curriculum is something which is very relatable, and the English that they speak and encapsulates almost all cultures, all varieties. This is something that is 9093 all about.
That's great. And like, how does studying English pair well with, other subjects at A levels? Would you like to shed some light on that?
Sure, sure. If it is basically when you opt for a subject, you have a particular career in mind.
Okay.
So in A levels, when you're making certain career choices, you need to know which subject is going to complement whatever you
course,
take.
yes.
For English, it's basically usually people who opt for media or maybe psychology and sociology, they would take it as a subject because it's a full credit subject. It is accepted in most of the universities, almost all the universities.
Yes.
And secondly, it can be taken by students who have taken IT, and I'll explain why.
Sure.
They can even, science students can also opt for English language.
Sure.
Now, the whole thing is, why am I saying that? It's basically whenever somebody is focusing on media, opting for media, there is another field which is called game development.
Okay.
This game development has actually created so many job opportunities, and it is not just the AI. AI can be used as a tool, but where will you bring that creativity? That creativity can also can only come when people are passionate about it and they are aware of the changes that are taking place in English language. So it can almost it can be taken by business students, it can be taken by students who are opting for humanities, and even for science students.
That's brilliant. And like, in what ways do you think English can help with, communication skills, those kind of skills which are useful beyond the classroom as well?
Beyond the classroom, yes. Yes, regarding the communication skills, if you look at English language, it is, for example, I'll give you a very recent example, which is if you have heard about George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones, he has actually created that fictional characters, and is a very successful series. Okay, but this kind of creativity, this kind of communication skills are also needed in other fields as well, which is basically, as I told you, game development. Now, Elden Ring is one of the games which is a phenomenal game, and this is also written by the same author. Okay, and he has created a whole mythology for it, which is an amalgam of Greek and Roman and also just the Japanese culture. Now here the communication is not just English, it's basically, as I said, it is also taking in the culture of Japanese or the Chinese culture. So what is happening here is that a person who's writing it should be aware of the varieties that are spoken there, the English varieties that are spoken there. And the English language A-level course actually does that. It makes you aware of how many varieties are there, and how is it that it can also complement it, instead of looking down upon it that it's not the standard English. It is also complementing them and making something which is an amalgam of all cultures and making it a success.
Makes sense. And thank you for answering that. And Ms. Fareeha, what role do you think digital media or technology can play in today's English curriculum? Are students, how can students prepare for that aspect?
That how do we get a grade in English language, or probably we don't get higher grades in English language. This is basically something that students should know, because in a row we've been getting distinctions in English language. Even last year we got a distinction which was highest in Pakistan. The idea over here is basically, if you have the passion for it, if you want to, because there are a lot of students who come to me and say, okay, Miss, I'm writing a novel. And they are no less than any other novelist, or maybe they could be a bestseller. I can easily say that. So Pakistani students can actually do so well in English language. And once they're aware of certain cultures, they're aware of certain writing styles, and they're also aware of their own culture. So they have the best of both the worlds. So when they start writing, in order to enhance their communication skills, they should analyze, they should be more aware of the modern English. That I keep on telling, that being aware of the modern English is very, very important. You can't now go back to the classics and expect them to write that, because it is now totally not going to be understood by most.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the syllabus? What are the parts like, the subunits like?
Yes. In AS, we usually focus on the analytical skills, and we expose them to different genres. And also creative writing. Now, what exactly is creative writing is where you become a writer, and your examiner gives you a task. You have to write that task. You have to create that. And then the best thing that my students usually enjoy is the reflective writing. And they will reflect on it and tell the examiner, okay, why have I made those choices? And why do I believe that these choices are right? So you have to justify your choices. So this is something which was not there in the English curriculum earlier, but now it is being included to give you a room for yourself to say that this is my created work and I know why I'm doing it. So this is one thing. Regarding A2. A2 is basically where there is a very interesting component, which is called language and the self. Language and the self is basically how human mind is controlled through words. And how is it that words control, and this is going to be very, very effective if somebody wants to be in a field of, for example, business, or maybe copywriters. These are all the content writers or creative writers. They can all be they can take help from all this. So this is also interesting. And shall I? There is so much in this curriculum and it is something that makes you think out of the box.
Perfect. And looking ahead, how do you see English as a subject evolving with changes in technology and whatever is happening in the global landscape? So do you see that English will evolve as a subject with all those changes?
Well, it is evolving, and because of the impact of social media, I believe that it is evolving so much that people do believe that English will not have. For example, if you look at the Gen Zs speaking English, it's a totally different story. And now, when the Gen Alpha is going to come in, so it is evolving, and even a 5 years difference is going to make people feel that this is not what happened in our time. So it is evolving, and one has to be aware of those changes.
Okay. So a lot of people think that AI and these apps may replace the need of even studying English language. So what is your opinion on that?
देखिए मैंने अभी I have given you an example of Elden Ring.
Yes.
Then we have so many examples where fantasy is created by a human mind. The AI can actually give you options, and a human mind is behind those options.
Yes.
So we need to, obviously, we cannot actually make it so mechanical. So creativity is something which will always stay with the human mind. And AI can be used as a tool. It's a wonderful tool where you can, I'll just give you an example where there are games which are played and there are dialogue options given, and you opt for one of the dialogues and then the game progresses. So this is where, obviously, how many options can an AI provide? Okay, there has to be someone who thinks out of the box, and that's a human mind. So, AI will develop, it will become more sophisticated with the passage of time. Maybe later it might replace, but right now there is something that a human mind cannot be replaced right now.
So anything that you would like to share with our audience about English language as a subject and taking it at A levels?
Well, I would actually suggest that those students who are very passionate about language, who've been very much into writing, and they would always like to create ideas, come up with new ideas. Those who would like to show their talent through this, because obviously there is a whole world open for them when we look at the career choices. Go for it. Opt for A-level English language, because this is the place which will actually enhance and polish your skills that you already possess, and then you will be able to know who you are. So I believe A-level English language, do or opt for it. It's very easy to get a grade. And it is difficult for those who don't work hard. So obviously that's very natural. So this is basically something that you should opt for, go for, because it complements almost every subject and it always gives you an edge over the others.
Perfect.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.